Ciao everyone, it's Magatino and today we're chatting in my office to talk about the rather insane car collection belonging to the Sultan of Brunei. We can define him as one of the pioneers to commission several one-off models, and he might be the ultimate collector or well, the ultimate compulsive accumulator of the automotive world. Because his car collection counts over 7,000, yes, 7,000 cars, which is basically the biggest car collection ever. Just to make an example, if the Sultan decides to drive each day a different car, well, it will take him about 19 years to drive them all. Well, if you don't consider that over the time he doesn't buy any more cars. And if he wants to store them all in the same place, he will need a place big, the equivalent of 10 football fields. So you might understand that even though he has such a huge car collection, probably he has never driven most of them. And considering the humidity, the tropical heat, I've read that some people got to see the collection and most cars aren't in a good shape. The Sultan has spent around $4 billion to make his huge car collection, and considering his is the second wealthiest royal family in the world, with an estimated net worth of about $28 billion, I think the annual road tax is not a problem for his cars. So in this moment, think about a car. Done? Well, probably the Sultan has about half a dozen of them. Because what is really insane about this collection is not just the variety that goes from the Fiat 500 up to the Mclaren F1, but also the amount of cars, because whenever he ordered a brand new car, he ordered several units of them. Nowadays his collection is a myth, but also a mystery, because we don't really know how many cars and which cars he still has. Unlike everyone do these days, the Sultan doesn't use social media, so he doesn't share what really lies in his garage. And considering that most of his cars have delivery miles and have never been driven out of the garage, you understand that his car collection is a real mystery. It will be quite long and complicated to talk about 7,000 cars, so today we're gonna focus about some of the most important and iconic models that belongs and used to belong to the Sultan. Just like me, the Sultan is a big Ferrari enthusiast, with only one difference. I have one Ferrari, and the Sultan has more than 500 of them. And of course, if you are a royal billionaire, you don't want a mainstream Ferrari like the others. In fact, the Sultan has requested to Ferrari several one-off models and standard models modified in order to be unique. For example, let's take the Ferrari F50. Only 349 have been built, and the Sultan requested 8 of them in different colors and in right-hand drive configuration. What about the F40? The Sultan requested 7 of them, including an LM version. All of them are right-hand drive, and I remind you that back in the time it was possible to buy them just in left-hand drive. And one of these F40s are really unique because it's painted matte grey and the interior is completely changed because it's not Spartan and raw anymore. In fact, the Sultan wanted electric windows, the radio, lots of leather, and I think in this way he spoiled a little bit the soul of the 40. You might be thinking, well, he should have gone for the Porsche 959 then. He did, because he bought 12 of them. So now I think you're starting to realize why the collection of the Sultan of Brunei is rather crazy. One of the craziest Ferraris that belong to the Sultan is called Ferrari F-X. He commissioned 7 of them to Ferrari, but I don't know why, he took delivery just of 6 of them, and the 7th belongs to Mr. Marconi, which is an American car collector. This car is based off the Ferrari 512M. So, under the bonnet we find the 5-liter V12 natural aspirated engine that produces 440 brake horsepower. The power has been left unchanged, but the Sultan requested a few mechanical upgrades. In fact, I think the most important one is about the transmission, because the Sultan requested to develop a Formula 1 transmission for the car. Another important Ferrari that has been kept secret for quite a long time is the Ferrari F90. The Sultan commissioned 6 units, and this car is basically a rebodied Ferrari Testarossa made with the targa roof. Another important Ferrari that is quite difficult to see today is the Ferrari 288 GTO. And of course, also the Sultan wanted one. In fact, he commissioned 4 of them, 2 in red, 1 in black, and 1 in this beautiful shade of blue. But I think the favorite Ferrari belonging to the Sultan was the 456. He loved this car so much that over the time he bought 73 of them. And of course, he didn't want just the standard one, because he commissioned also a variant made in sedan, convertible and wagon. Many years ago I got to see the wagon driving around London, and at first glimpse I didn't realize it was a real Ferrari, and after making some research I realized that day I saw a pretty rare Ferrari. Of course, his collection is not just about Ferraris, because all the automotive manufacturers loved the Sultan. Other very important cars that are still in the collection of the Sultan is the Mclaren F1, which is considered as the greatest sports car ever made. And of course, he didn't want just one. In fact, he bought 10 of them. This car is extremely rare because just 106 have been built. And today, the average value of an F1 is about $10 million. Currently, there are still 7 F1s in his collection. One has been destroyed and kept for the spare parts. This makes you think you have truly a lot of money to waste for doing that. And the others 2 have been sold. The yellow one you see has been repainted white and then upgraded with the eye downforce kit. Looks pretty badass. Another important car that belongs to his collection is the Jaguar Xj220. This is probably the greatest modern Jaguar ever made, and given the financial situation of Jaguar, I think we're not gonna see any more crazy cars like this. The Sultan loved this car so much that he bought 16 of them, including a Jaguar Xj220C, which is a race car limited to 3 units. He loved this car so much that he even requested Pininfarina to make a unique Xj220. Another important car that used to take part to his collection, because now it's been sold, is the Mercedes Clk Gtr Roadster. His car is unique because it's the only CLK made in right and drive. The car was sold with a mere 34 kilometers on the odometer, and then the car was bought by Vijay Mallya. You might know this name if you are a Formula 1 enthusiast, because he used to be the owner of the Force India Formula 1 team. His collection is not just about supercars, hypercars. In fact, the Sultan is a great enthusiast of Mercedes, and alongside the hundreds and hundreds of high-performance Mercedes, I think one of my favorite is this. It's called S73T. And basically, this is an S-Class turned into a wagon with a massive engine lying in the front. Because if you are a Pagani enthusiast, you know the badge M120 very well. In fact, in this car we find the same 7.3 liter natural aspirated V12 that we find in the Pagani Zonda. So yeah, this 565 brake horsepower wagon is quite badass. The Sultan loved the luxury manufacturers like Rolls-Royce and Bentley so much that in the mid-90s he bought roughly a third of the annual production of these companies. So now you understand why all these manufacturers loved him that much. I've heard that thanks to all his lavish way of style and the one-off commissions, he saved these companies from bankrupt. And you can bet these companies were very happy to satisfy all the requests of the Sultan. In fact, Bentley has made a countless amount of one-offs for him. And one of the most impressive ones is this. It's called Bentley Dominator, and basically it's a sort of Bentley Bentayga of that era. Another British company that truly loved the Sultan was Aston Martin, because they weren't in a very good financial situation. And hopefully the Sultan loved the company so much that he requested several one-off models like the AM3, AM4 and this, the V8 Vantage Special Series 2. Made just in 3 units, obviously all for the Sultan, this car is based off the V8 Vantage fitted with the V600 package, which means the 5.4 liter V8 has been twin supercharged by producing 600 horsepower and 813 Newton meters of torque. Back in time, this car, when new, it was the world's most powerful road production car. He loved this car so much that he even requested a sedan version of the V8 Vantage. So yeah, basically you can understand that the Sultan has pretty much everything in his collection. Other important cars include the BMW Nazca, just 3 units produced, the CZ V16T, several units of the Bugatti AB110, lots of Lamborghinis like the Countach, Diablo, LM002, and what about the Porsche 962? This is truly a rare car, and the Sultan has 6 of them. And I wonder, should we call this passion or simply obsession? You need to be an enthusiast to buy so many cars and some very special of them, but on the other side, if you don't drive them and just let them rot in the garage, well, I wouldn't say this is what a real petrolhead will do. If I had the money of the Sultan, well, first of all, I would have bought a lot more F40s because they are always good to have. And second, I would have requested to have my own personal Nürburgring racetrack just behind the swimming pool. The Sultan doesn't seem willing to share on public all his cars, so let's hope someday for him to sell everything so they can be appreciated by real enthusiasts. I hope you guys did enjoy the video and make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel for more. And as always, thanks for watching. Ciao!